here was a man who started India's first organized secret society, which was called the Abhinav Bharat. Initially Mitra Mela, which later became Abhinav Bharat. He led the first ever student bonfire against foreign clothes. When we talk of bonfire, we only think of Gandhi and the bonfire of clothes. But in 1905, as a student of Fergusson College in Pune, this man had done that, for which he even got rusticated from college. And then 5 years that he was in London as a law student, he led literally the revolutionary movement, sitting there, and got all these other people I mentioned earlier who were there with him, Shyamji Krishna Verma and all of them, into this entire movement, and wrote this seminal book on the, after researching British documents on the 1857 uprising, gave it a respectability by calling it the first war of Indian independence. And that book, Ranveer, became literally the Bhagavad Gita for all future revolutionaries, whether it was, Bhagat Singh, who got the second edition of it published, or even Rash Bihari Bose and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who got it translated into Tamil and Japanese and all kinds of languages, and how a revolution needs to be structured. The entire prescription was there in that book. So someone who had contributed so much, and 12 long years in Kalapani, 2 years in Indian mainland jail, so 14 years of imprisonment. And then 13 years after he comes out, he's kept under captivity and house arrest in Ratnagiri in Maharashtra, where he could not even go out of the borders of Ratnagiri. So just imagine a young man who is so wanting to become a barrister, goes to London, is caught by the British and unfairly tried, and 27 years of his life are snuffed out. His degrees are snatched away from him. The law degree, the graduation degree from Fergusson. So on paper, he was just a metric pass. His entire family property confiscated. And so when he and his elder brother go away to Kalapani, the women of the family, they literally had to beg, to eke out a livelihood. They didn't, even utensils were taken away and auctioned, literally brought to the streets. So this is a sacrifice not only of him, but also his entire family, his wife, his sister-in-law, and all of them, Yeshu Vahini, and all these people. And so easily today, sitting in air-conditioned rooms, people pass judgment saying he was a traitor, he was a stooge and all of that, which I think is grossly unfair.
What is their argument?
I mean, the fact that is mentioned that he wrote mercy petitions to buy out his, liberty from jail and so on, which I think is a flawed argument, because these were petitions that commonly a lot of political prisoners wrote those days. It was not something that exclusively he wrote. And in my book, the first volume of the 2-volume biography on Savarkar, I have mentioned all the petitions in toto. There were 6 or 7 that he wrote. So just like you can have a lawyer, or today you can have a bail application, a lot of people used to file up, these petitions which were applications. And in those petitions, your viewers can actually read those, and there was nowhere an apology. In fact, the British records themselves say that when they came, one man called Reginald Craddock, who comes all the way to interview him, he in his official jotting says, I interviewed Mr. Savarkar, and he shows no regret or repentance or remorse for what he has done. So why would the British want to write that about him? If he could have prostrated and said, Mai baap, mujhe chhod do yahan se. So, but he didn't do that. So, and then most of these petitions, he was also filing on behalf of other younger people, young revolutionaries who didn't know English, who didn't know the law. So this man was called Bada Babu, who had studied, law, and who knew English, and he could be their spokesperson. So in fact, in a 1917 petition, he says, if my name constitutes an obstacle in the release of all the other prisoners, then delete my name and release the others, and that would give me as much pleasure as my own release would secure. So that clearly shows he was talking on behalf of all the other people. But this is constantly brought out, to demonize him. And you spoke about Kalapani, Ranveer, and the atrocities there, not only to Savarkar, but all the other. Only the revolutionaries were housed in Kalapani, mind you. No single congressman was sent there.